In the world, how y'all doing? Welcome to the Life Malcolm Show. I'm your host, Life Malcolm. I really want to appreciate you being here this evening, tuned in to the Life Malcolm Show right here on In Touch News, where everybody is a star, and I like to say the biggest star is you, especially when you call in and, talk to me. We talking about different things and whatnot. But before we start talking about stuff, I want to do as I am obligated by my own good upbringing, by my mother and my grandmother to do, which is offer my profound and deep expressions of appreciation and gratefulness and acknowledgement to DJ CEO and Mrs. DJ CEO, aka Tampa Bay Tammy, for providing this platform, making it possible for myself and other programmers to come to you and put in your ear what you want to hear. I really want to say this, though. It's customary that I give my thank yous and acknowledgments to that glorious couple who make this platform possible. But a deviation from the norm, I got to tell you how inspiring this couple is to me as I inch towards my 60s. I'm 46, as I've said before. You might have heard. It's not a rumor. It's true. For almost 50. But as I inch toward my 60s, I look at DJ CEO and Mrs. DJ CEO, a.k.a. Tampa Bay Tammy, and they make 60 look so damn fun. They be all on the Facebook posting pictures and grinning and just, looking like they're having a great time in their 60s. And I am so looking forward to being, I never, really thought about being 60 until I started getting close to 50. And so 60 is like right around the corner, and they make it look so fly. So I just had to, I had to say that, man. Appreciate y'all for not only providing this platform, but giving the brother a glimpse of what the future might be like. Also have to thank my super duper producer, DJ ANA, always doing her thing in the back. And as has been the case of late, gotta give a big shout out to my man Bezel in the building, doing his thing on the Life Malcolm Show, bringing in the hand claps and the music scratch. He's up in here, doing a little something. So we're very grateful to have Bezel in the building. Tonight we have a guest who's gonna come and kick it with us. We're gonna be talking about talking. Imagine that. We got my man Alvaro Montealegre is in the building. This man, don't you hate them people who be calling about nothing, like talking about your auto insurance warrant? Somebody tried to call me today and tell me that I owed $160,000 on my property. I was like, whoa, you got the wrong number. But anyway, we got my man Alvaro. We're gonna talk about talking. Mainly in the context of Tampa's community radio. That should be a lively discussion, so stay tuned. But before we get to that, you know how we do on the Life Malcolm Show. We throw out, we do a little something, we call it something light, then we do something heavy, then we do like a word from the law, something like that. I haven't come up with a clever title for that segment yet, but you can call in and help. And then after we do that segment, we try to bring in a word from the word. And I swear, I'm doing my best to get better at making sure we get all that stuff in. But a lot of times, it's just so much to cover in an hour. And I fail in many episodes to talk about everything I want to talk about by the time the clock ticks to the end. But we're going to do our best to be better than we've ever been this show and get it all in. I should tell you, that you can watch us at on the In Touch News YouTube channel, and you can also watch us on Facebook on the In Touch News page. Oh yeah, and you can call in at 813-444-9588. Holla at your folk, man. Call in. Let's talk about it. So, whatever you want to talk about, too. I mean, you don't even have to be on topic. It's not like y'all on topic every time y'all call anyway. So, you just call in, do like you do. Just talk about whatever you want to talk about, and, we'll get back on topic after we're done. We just want to hear from you. It's always a pleasure. This past weekend, as you know, was, the 5th of the month was this weekend. And many of you know, my son, Young Life Lazarus Coleman, lived on this earth, man, for 18 years. January 5th, 2015, bandits came to my home and shot him in my front yard. We pronounced him dead in the hospital a few hours later. And so every 5th of the month, we do this thing on the lane, on Young Life Lane, which is the street where he grew up and ultimately met with the fatal wound. On the lane, every 5th of the month, we do this thing called grilling, chilling, and community building. And no matter who's there or not there, we've done grilling, chilling, and community building on the lane every month since February 5th, 2015. And so I bring that up just because, Young Life is fresh on my mind. Well, he's always on my mind, but, just all the stuff around his life and untimely and tragic death, murder. Just all that stuff on my mind every 5th of the month, just because we, do some stuff like, some ceremonial things that help to keep his name and his memory and the significance of his very brief life at the forefront of people's minds who may not think of Young Life all the time. And so, of course, I'm involved in that process, and there are memories and thoughts and stories and what have you. And anyway, in that vein, I guess my youngest child, my 12-year-old daughter, if you've been tuned in to the Life Malcolm show from the beginning or watching episodes past, you might have come across an episode that featured myself and my 2 youngest children, my 2 daughters, Journey and Jaye, whom I affectionately call Yaya, because that's what Journey called her when she couldn't say Jaye. But anyway, Yaya sent me a photograph of Young Life and Aisha, who's my oldest daughter, and Yaya, the baby, who's, can you show them that? Can they see that from here? Yeah, see that? Look, check out the zoom in. So yeah, Young Life. I didn't have that picture, but Yaya found the picture. Thank you. Yaya found the picture, shared it with me. And that's Yaya in the middle. Yaya's 12 now, so that means that Aisha, who just turned 20. Ooh. She just turned 24. I had to get that right. She just turned 24. So that would mean that Aisha was 12 in this picture. And looking at this picture, she looked like she weighs more in this picture than she does now. A little bit of self. But anyway, that's my man, Young Life. That's my ace right there, my man. I miss him terribly. I wish he could see how much at least 2 of his sisters have grown. Aisha's still about the same size in height. But so I just wanted to share that pleasant picture of the young man with you. So something like, as if that was like, you know what? I've noticed that although I call this segment with which we open up the show something light, it's always light heavy. Maybe I need to call it something light heavy. Because I guess it ain't a whole lot of light stuff going on, because even the delight I expressed in my son's presence in the picture shared with me by my youngest child is heavy, though, because it's so morose, just we have to think of him and speak of him in past tense. Heavy, light, and heavy. Something else, light, heavy. Man, that Michael K. White. That's, definitely our thoughts are with his family. So unexpected. I would say, there's word that his death was the result of an overdose. I'm just telling you, man, be careful. I don't know if he overdosed or not, but just the fact that it's a suggestion merits this line of commentary. Just be careful, because a lot of people have been dying from overdoses. As a matter of fact, I think fentanyl was the drug that had something to do with Prince's death, Prince Rogers Nelson. And so look, what you do is what you do. Your life, your business. I just want to encourage you, man. Be careful. Things ain't what it used to be. I actually am old enough to remember the days when some recreation was just that, recreation. You wasn't risking your life to party. You could go to a party, recreate, and come home. Maybe wake up with a headache or a stranger, something like that. But you go home. Now people are, waking up in bad shape, if they wake up at all, just from trying to have a good time, and that's really unfortunate. So I beseech you, dear friends and listeners, be careful when you're having fun. What else? It was something else I wanted to talk. Oh, man. So, last month we did this whole long thing where we talked about health in the context of the colonial virus and the dose that they, forcing on people, trying to bully people to get, peer pressure people, and all this kind of stuff, right? This past week, apparently, I don't pay no attention to these colonizers in no real serious way. So I don't know. I just kind of caught wind of something that happened with abortion or something, maybe Texas or something. Anyway, I don't even know the ins and outs. But what occurred after this court decision or what have you is people all over social media talking about bodily autonomy. And how, women, had a right. Can't nobody tell no woman what to do with their body. It's the woman's body. I mean, all kinds of memes and what have you, all kind of Facebook philosophers, coming out with all this bodily integrity, bodily autonomy type talk. But the same people that last month was telling me that my healthy ass ought to be forced to wear a mask, ought to be forced to take a dose of something or the other. Like, the hell with my bodily integrity. Just because you're healthy don't mean that you get bodily integrity and have bodily autonomy. But now they play situational ethics when it comes to this abortion thing. The picture seems to be much clearer to them. Oh, bodily autonomy is sacred. Bodily integrity is sacred. You can't tell nobody what to do with their body. Playing situational ethics is stupid and a very slippery slope. It leads us to down a winding, meandering road that only winds up in a cesspool of liberalness, and we can't find a way forward when we're deep in such mess. So, yeah, pick a side. Stand on something. Either bodily integrity is sacred, and you shouldn't force people to wear masks, force people to take a dose, or force people to have a baby if they don't want to. And if you feel like you should force people to do stuff, then you don't get to have it your way when it comes to your ass. And okay, so that's that. We're about to take a break. Like I said, we're gonna come back with my man Alvaro Montealegre, and we are going to start talking about community radio stuff. And you can be a part of the conversation too, right here on the Life Malcolm Show. If you call in 813-444-9588. See you on the other side.
Cancer affects everyone, but minority populations are often hit hardest. Moffitt Cancer Center is working to address the barriers that keep some groups from getting the care they need. African Americans develop cancer at a younger age, have more aggressive cancers, and experience worse outcomes than the general population.
While cancer treatment is evolving with precision medicine, who is being left behind? We know for many decades that some groups experience a greater burden of cancer than others. We can prevent it, we can detect it early. It's very beatable when we find it early. I have worked with cancer patients during their treatment. All cancer patients have courage.
So my treatment was about 18 months. I had 3 cancers and 7 surgeries. But my son told me, like, Mom, you're the strongest person that I know. Moffitt saved my life.
During COVID-19, Moffitt is a safe place for your cancer care. Call now to schedule an appointment.
Call Ricky. Ask Ricky. You need medical or a lawyer. I got the man to do the legwork for you. We tried the other ones before, so believe we hunted down 813-248-6300. Everything gon' be okay, call Ricky, he coming. He taking kids to the floor to grab a pen or sun down 184-361-RICK. That's 184-361-425. Never word from the point forward, just recline. Just ask Ricky, plus your boy statewide. Just in case you missed it, I'ma tell you one more time. 184-361-RICK. Call Ricky, ask Ricky. It's a legal medical referral service. The doctors and lawyers in our network are trained in handling auto injury claims and giving you the best medical treatment and recovery. Dial 1-844-361-RICK. That's 1-844-361-7425. Ricky. Ask Ricky.
All right. And we're back. Let me go ahead and correct myself. I made an error when I spoke about Michael K. Williams's death. I called him Michael K. White. I guess my mind was conflating the names of Michael J. White and Michael K. Williams. But Michael J. White, as far as I know, is okay. And there is nobody I know named Michael K. White. And Michael K. Williams is the actor to whom I referred when I spoke about the death and advised y'all to be careful. But enough of that. Just wanted to correct that. In the studio, as you can see, right here on the Life Malcolm Show, we have the one and only Alvaro Montealegre. And let me tell you something about Alvaro. I've known Alvaro for years. I would say at least maybe a decade I've been familiar with Alvaro. Like just hearing his voice, knowing who he is on face, on sight. I've heard the name much longer, but have been able to point out his voice whenever he calls in and speaks. And for a while, he was a host of a radio show called Sunday Forum, or at least part of the Sunday Forum team. And you could always hear his voice chiming in with a perspective, a refreshing perspective that seemed too absent too often on what is supposed to be a community radio station and a community radio show. Alvaro always seemed to have his finger on the pulse of the people, not just the status quo, but the working class. And I mean, I'm gonna let Alvaro speak for himself. I'm just telling you how I interpreted his what he contributed to the show every time he called in and every time he raised his voice while sitting in the studio on air. And not only did Alvaro express did his expressions demonstrate he had his finger on the pulse of the working class community, but his expressions also demonstrated that Alvaro had his eye on a target, on a goal, on aspirations that were different than what mainstream status quo type folk often espouse on airwaves. So I always love to hear Alvaro chime in and share words of wisdom and he called me up and said he wanted to talk about community radio, and I was more than honored to invite him into the Life Malcolm show so we could have this discussion. And so I'm just going to, Alvaro, let you pretty much lead the way. We're going to talk about it how you want to talk about it, but I had to say something to the audience about your tremendous contribution and significance in the world of community radio before I welcomed you to the microphone as I do now. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend and your friend too, even if you don't know it, Alvaro Montealegre.
Thank you. Thank you. And, thank you for the introduction.
You're welcome, Alvaro. So tell the people a little bit about yourself. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I need to say that the feeling is mutual. I've heard you speak, and very few people speak with the focus, with the clarity that you speak, with the purpose that your words bring to all of us. And it's refreshing to hear you. It is clarifying, and I always learn something. You always teach something when you speak, and I appreciate that very much.
Thank you, Alvaro. I appreciate you saying so. Yeah. I didn't pay him for that either. I should. I feel like I owe him something now. But listen,
this I've thought for a long, long time. I didn't know. We didn't have as many discussions. We had discussions about you.
Yeah.
Many people have a lot to say about you, about your concerns and your spirit and your determination, because they stand out.
I appreciate that. So, tell the people about yourself, like where you're from, how you ended up in Tampa, and got involved in radio.
Okay, I am from Colombia, South America, and I lived in a what was the first capital of Colombia, a city relatively small, 400,000 people, about the size of Tampa, but relatively a little more rural, and we moved in when I was around 6 or so to Bogota and lived in Bogota, which is a big city, a big like New York type city.
The current capital, right?
Yes, current capital. And lived there for about 2 years or so, 3 years. Then my parents came here and brought us a little later, 6 months.
Right to Tampa?
No, we came first in New York.
Okay.
We're there 6 months. Then to Dover, New Jersey.
Okay.
And I lived there for many years.
Okay. When did you get to Tampa?
I got to Tampa about 15, 16 years ago.
Okay.
17 years ago.
Okay. And when did you break into the community or to the radio scene first here in the Bay Area?
I used to, in the Bay Area, I used to help out on WBAI in New York.
Okay.
And excellent radio station, very open to people. It was a community station.
Okay.
And very welcoming. And I came here, and I was in love with the station for a couple of years, a few years. I just came in and had nothing, my eyes were relatively closed. I was just, getting into what was going on.
Right.
And that was 2007 or so.
Okay.
And until I heard them attack Sunday programming. Sunday programming it was primarily black programming.
Right.
And coming from the north, and I know that Florida is not supposed to be the South. People don't look at Florida like the South, but I started to see a pattern that was worrisome, and so when I first heard the attacks, I had to speak out, and somebody said, "Well, do you think there's a plan?" And I said, "Well, no, I don't think it's a plan. It can't be a plan. It's much too strange for it to be a plan." But I started to pay a little more attention, and they were paying more attention to me too. And as I was denouncing some of the things that I saw, then they started to kind of try to isolate me and quickly kick me out for a year. And then I came back, and a lot of things have changed, and a lot of the rushing of a lot of changes negative changes, because change is good, but a lot of negative changes.
Let me stop you right there, Alvaro. So when you say attacks, what kind of attacks did you see initially that brought which you addressed and ended up bringing you under scrutiny? What kind of attacks?
Let me read to you a little piece that I have here, because
Sure.
I kept this. The station had a hacking incident in which they claimed to have lost all of their email correspondence.
Okay.
And but I had kept these emails,
Okay.
and where they talk about Sunday, they were saying that that Sunday, the program director says, as program director in recent years, I hear from a lot of core listeners, core in quotations I think should be, who complain that they tune out WMNF Sunday because they think it is all special interest programming. Years ago, we had successful free-form eclectic programming Sunday 2 to 4 with Jenny Juristo after the polka. I am hopeful that an accessible eclectic show will attract core listeners to Sunday who might discover they actually like some of the other Sunday shows and get some listeners back on Monday morning. Now we lose some listeners who forget to turn the radio back to 88.5. It sounds almost innocent or innocent enough, but I've grown and I've known that you read between the lines, that you have to be suspicious, and that even if you don't jump to conclusions, you have to look beyond the words. And when they talk about core listeners, and when they talk about special interest, and they're relating to our programming, we have to worry. We
Right.
have to worry. So immediately I scream for clarification, and they try to pacify me. No, we don't mean that. We mean this, we mean the other thing.
Right.
But pretty soon I started to see that they really were, after the programming.
Yeah.
And now just recently, and the reason that I requested that you
Well, before you get into
Yes.
that, because we're going to go to break here in a minute, but so you said after these initial attacks, you spoke out, they sent you away for a year, you came back, and there were a lot of changes, negative changes. Can you say something briefly about those negative changes?
Okay, before I had been asked to leave, I had been appointed and played the role of board operator trainer.
Okay.
My job was to train board operators who came
Right.
to the station to help out.
Right. How to, to turn up the mics, turn
Yes.
on the radio, fade people up. Right. Got it.
Exactly.
That
Exactly.
board.
Being,
Right.
make sure that the sound is on the air.
Right. Right.
And so I did that, and I started to recruit a lot of people. The station was, when I first came, totally white, completely white.
Yeah.
Inside, there was one person who cleaned the premises, a pretty large building, and we had one other person who. When I first came, another person, Carrie Core, who was an excellent community liaison.
Yeah.
She left for a radio station in California,
Okay.
and at that point, the only person left at the station was the only person of color was the person that cleaned the building. And I criticized that. I said, why is this station, a community station, completely white? There's
Yeah,
a problem. And so when I was appointed to train people, I brought in a lot of blacks and Latinos,
Okay.
and I noticed people were telling me, look, I filled that paperwork months ago, and they're still not calling me.
Yeah, yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
So I would ask them, please come in, and I'll settle the paperwork afterwards. Well, the person in charge of community liaison after Carrie was blocking people from coming in. She was just, oh, wonderful. We'll keep in touch.
Right.
We'll call you. Don't call us. We'll call you. Kind of stuff.
That game. Yeah.
But people would wait and wait and wait, and nothing would happen. Until we had a pretty tough situation where some people were ill, some people were out on vacation. With very few people.
Alvaro, I'm gonna stop you right there. We're gonna make them wait and wait and wait. Like that community liaison had people waiting. to get to the rest of that story right after this break. We're going to take a break. Y'all watching the Life Malcolm Show. I'm right here with my man Alvaro Montealegre. We're talking talk in the community radio station world. We'll be right back.
This is Kevin from Steppin' with a Vision, where I teach the smooth art of Chicago-style stepping. Join me on September 24th and September 25th as I celebrate 40 years of recovery, and I celebrate my 67th birthday. Yes, 2 nights of dancing and dinner. Workshops on Saturday the 25th if you want to learn to dance at 3315 Lemon Street in Tampa, 912 East Fletcher on Saturday. See you there.
Hi, this is Angela Birdsong, and during the week, I'm affectionately known as the Medicare lady. Do not try to navigate Medicare without me. Please call me at 813-476-4837. I also do life insurance, and I will help people who are Medicare, Medicaid. Once again, 813-476-4837. 4837.
In Touch Radio.
This is Joel Sylvain
and Kevin Carr,
and we're with Power Moves, where celebrities, athletes, key influential executives,
influencers
share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. Come join us every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Power Moves
On In Touch Radio.
It's politics. It's life. It's the Life Malcolm Show every Tuesday at 6 p.m. on In Touch Radio.
All right. Welcome back to the Life Malcolm Show right here on In Touch News, where everybody is a star and the biggest star is you. Especially if you call in right here, 813-444-9588. You get to talk to me, but more importantly, you get to talk to my man Alvaro Montealegre, who's been telling us about some of the perils in community radio station world right here in Tampa, Florida. Alvaro, as he mentioned a bit ago, has been around the scene since 2007. So he's seen the ins and the outs in this particular station. And Alvaro's talked about the lack of colored people, so to speak, at the radio station. And the thing is, the radio station is right in the middle of the hood. It's right there on MLK. It ain't nothing but one. I ain't gonna say the name. We don't have to do that. But it's only one. If you ride by MLK, you might find out who it is. You can do some what they call inquiry-based learning. And speaking of inquiring, I'm gonna get right back to my man Alvaro. Alvaro, I appreciate you giving us a little bit of background, laying a foundation, but I know you came here today to talk about stuff that's going on in community radio world right now in Tampa. Tell us what's happening.
So the way I saw it, they came out with this proposal, this plan 7 years ago. 10 years ago, they attacked what I read. Right. They attacked Sunday programming, and it was a wake-up call for me because I had been already there, 2-3 years before that, and so then they come out with this plan that speaks to. They're saying it has been well documented that the world of media has changed drastically with so many competitors for listeners' attention. Even before the media explosion throughout WMNF's history, we've made choices that effectively kept away large audiences. So this is critical because they claim Rule 1 of audience radio theory, unified appeal. So they're talking about unified appeal. Unified appeal, they're talking about ethnicity too.
Right.
AAA, etc.
Right.
WMNF fights the notion of unified appeal, and many of our most cherished values and traditions oppose audience growth theory. Commitment to diversity. Okay? They want to grow, and somehow they feel commitment to diversity it's harming that.
Right.
Volunteer programmers, they want paid programmers that they could control to a greater degree, or who would I'm getting paid, so I have to do what they tell me to do.
Right.
Programming that is intended to serve multiple audiences. They want consolidate audiences, to the least amount possible.
So the things that you're reading off are the things that they're suggesting are hindrances to their growth in this changing media world.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. Verbatim. This is
Right.
what they wrote.
Gotcha.
Commitment to alternative music and information. Alternative means, I don't know that I have to describe what that means, right?
Right.
And
Against
some of
the
it
norm.
some of it does mean music that people normally don't hear. Let's say a little metal or something a little bit to the extreme.
Right.
But it also means Latino music. It also means music that the core audience, which is elderly white, does not listen to.
Right.
Locally generated programs. So they want to. And one time I questioned that. I said, locally, you have a problem with locally generated programs, and you have a program with volunteer programmers. You want paid programmers. What is the next step? I asked. I mean, do we want to perhaps run our programs out of a hard drive, or just rebroadcast them from farther out?
Right.
Creative freedoms given to programmers. That's a problem to them.
Right.
They want to be able to control. And what they have done now is essentially implementing this. So I when I raise with people this thing, they tell me, okay, when was it written? I say 7 years ago. Don't worry about it. 7 years ago is a long time. That's not it should not be an issue today.
Right.
Anybody can write anything 7 years ago, and you don't have to hold them to it.
Right.
The problem is that they have kept this thing going. They have gone through these steps. We are already listed as AAA. They say AAA is beckoning. But we have to make changes. Well, we're already listed as AAA.
Okay. What does that mean? AAA.
AAA. Let me read that to you, because that's the same thing I asked. What is AAA? AAA is adult album something else, which is really AAA, adult album alternative.
Okay.
Okay, they do use the word alternative. A commercial radio format developed in the mid '80s.
Okay.
So alternative commercial radio
Gotcha.
setup.
Gotcha. Right.
Not community radio where you have more differences. Where people just kind of their culture, their whatever they're into, their niche.
Right.
It just gets brought out so that people in the community share.
Right.
Whatever interest and concern they have. So at the time when these issues come up, my answer to them was essentially bringing up questioning their way of seeing things, their way of focusing on things, and this is what I said to them when they wrote the proposal, that would limit the shows, the broadness of the different shows.
Okay.
I said, hi everyone. The following excerpt from an email sent by the previous program director says something that should be of concern to all of us. This is his excerpt. So while AAA format is beckoning, I feel plenty of barriers at WMNF. Having 5 different volunteer programmers on a strip, commitment remains to news and public affairs, the ideas of diversity and peace and social justice. In the quote above, Randy thinks we have too many volunteer programmers. He has said at meetings that he prefers paid programmers. He feels that listener support and commitment to news and public affairs is a barrier to growth and progress for the station. And he as well sees the ideals of diversity and peace and social justice to be in the way of the direction he would like to take the WMNF. So it's pretty clear, And normally I think that would anger people or would cause shock.
Right.
People just take it like nothing's going on. There are no problems,
Why do you think that is?
They've been pretty smart at the way they've done things. People normally don't get involved in meetings, so very few people saw this thing.
Okay.
Very few people read the emails.
Okay.
there is no interest in these people. This I got because I'm interested in it. I'm in it. I'm going to all the meetings. I catch all the information. They lost supposedly all these emails. I got them. I kept them.
Right. I guess I'm asking Alvaro, when you, like you said, when you read these words and understand all the stuff that the programming director or the previous programming director aimed to take away, and these these plans that the person intended to put in play, like you said, it seems it would evoke anger or cause shock. So I'm saying, when people do hear it and there's nothing, why do you think that when they do hear it, there's nothing? Why don't they care?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a very good question. And let me tell you real briefly. This was written in 2014.
Okay.
2015, I was out. So, and this 8/29, so very close to the end of the year. And I raised the issues. It took a couple of months to deal with it, and then pretty soon I'm out.
Right.
So why do people do nothing?
Yeah.
Do you need me to hold a little bit, or do you have a break? Okay.
No,
I ask myself the same question, and what happens is that I raise these issues, and I raise it with Latino people, and I raise it with black. Even though Latinos are, we're almost none.
Right.
Very, very few people there.
Right.
I raise it with the black people, and they said, well, you kind of getting us into hot water. It's kind of the feeling,
Okay.
So they're listening to me and say, yes. Leave these things alone. You kind of putting us up against the bigger enemy.
Right.
It's better if we just kind of close our eyes, leave things alone. Don't bother with it. Things will go away. No,
Right.
there will be no problem.
Right.
Well, right now, we're at a point where they wanted to push all black, Latino, any non-white programs into HD.
Right. Right.
And HD is okay if you're starting out, but HD, as compared to a 4 million people market, is not fair. It's not right.
Okay.
So
why is that?
Why is what?
Why is it not right? Because I don't. You're talking
because
lingo that. Yeah.
Okay.
School me.
Okay. The regular signal is capable of reaching 4 million people.
Okay.
200-mile diameter.
Okay.
Okay. It goes all the way to Orlando.
Okay.
So 100-mile radius.
Got it.
All the way to Orlando, all the way to Venice in the south, all the way to Brooksville in the north.
Gotcha.
So it's able to reach a market of 4 million people,
right.
if you call it a market,
right,
an audience, a possible audience of 4 million people. The HD, you're talking about 200 people, 300 people, maybe 500, or so.
I see.
So they wanted to push us all into there.
I see.
And they were very smart. These people are not they think of the different points, and they try to pacify people. What they try to do was approach NAACP, approach Urban League, Divine Nine, and a few other groups, and told them, look, we want you to help us develop the HD channel. We have an HD. We have four HD channels. Yeah. We want you to take one HD4 and take it as a black station and do with it whatever you think you want to do. Yeah. Just in consultation with us, but you, NAACP, Urban League, and the like, you kind of control it.
So I'm gonna say this. Speaking of control, when I asked you the question, why do you think people don't have a different kind of response, have a sort of nonchalant or nothing response when faced with this type of reprogramming and this attack on black programming? One of my thoughts for people's lackluster response is that we don't feel, those of us who don't respond in a more visceral way, don't feel like we can change anything or do anything to make something in that program design, derail that whole plan. So when we come back from this break, I want you to talk. We only have about 10 minutes when we come back from break, but I want you to use as much of that time as you can to help me and others listening know what it is we can do when we see this type of stuff, which does probably anger us, but scare us at the same time into silence because we don't know what to do and which way to go. So we'll talk about that when we get back. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we're right here on the Life Malcolm Show. We'll be right back on the other side of the break. Give us a call if you like, 813-444-9588. Alvaro Montealegre in the building.
Call Ricky. Ask Ricky. You need medical or a lawyer? I got the man to do the legwork for you. We tried the other ones before, so believe we hunted down 813-248-6300. Everything gon' be okay. Call Ricky, he coming. He taking kids scared of Florida. Grab a pen or something down 184-361 Rick. That's 184-361-425. Never word from the point forward, just recline. Just ask Ricky, plus your boy statewide. Just in case you missed it, I'ma tell you one more time. 184-361 Rick. Call Ricky, ask Ricky. It's a legal medical referral service. The doctors and lawyers in our network are trained in handling auto injury claims and giving you the best medical treatment and recovery. Dial 1-844-361 Rick. That's 1-844-361-7425. Ricky. Ask Ricky.
Keeping you informed, in tuned, and in touch. Your worldwide radio connection. In Touch Radio.
All right. Welcome back to the Life Malcolm Show. Appreciate you staying tuned. We right here with my man Alvaro Montealegre, and we're talking about the perils of community radio programming in 2021. Yes, they still exist. And although we spent about 30 minutes or so discussing the perils, now Alvaro is about to, I'm an optimist, so I'm assuming there's a solution. And so Alvaro is about to lay it on us. Let us have it. Tell us how it is we can participate and perhaps take community radio back. Because I remember this same community radio station that you have shown evidence, based on the evidence you've shown, who now has some kind of problem with alternative music. I remember this was the station, people, they still call it the house that Kenny K built, because it was Kenny K who brought music nobody never heard around here in Tampa, Florida, to Tampa, Florida listeners, in Tampa Bay area listeners, right there at 88.5, right there at the station. Well, everybody know what Kenny K was. Hell, there ain't no secret. Right there, Kenny K was the house that Kenny K built, 88.5. When it was just a house, like a wooden frame house, not this big, something like a cathedral-looking edifice it is now. But Kenny K played stuff that people didn't hear, and that's what brought people to the station. That's what built the house. And now you're saying they want to not, take away alternative music and other stuff. So that's part of the problem we've been discussing here. You should go back and watch it to hear some other things that Alvaro laid out as problematic with the station. But now, Alvaro, solutions. How can black people and others, Latinos and whoever who desires to be on the right side of history, jump in and right the wrongs that are percolating over there?
Well, I think we're at a wonderful moment. In these 14 years that I've been there, I never saw the open, positive reaction of people to the negative changes, or I should say positive in the sense that people fought back against it or are fighting back against the changes. So I think they counted on the fact that people had been sleeping for a long time and thought they were going to get away with it this time also.
Okay.
And no, a lot of people are fighting back. A lot of people are angry, are upset, and a lot of critical people are still kind of quiet, a little, kind of still sleepy, critical people. And I've spoken with some people, some of the strongest people that you can think of. I don't want to say the names, right? But some of them said, "Are you sure you're talking about this?" And I'm reading this thing, the proposal that they made 7 years ago, and they said, "Are you sure you?" I said, "I'm going to read from here, and I'll send you a copy of it."
Right.
And not that I hadn't done before, but they kind of acknowledge it, but then still it's like it sounds like a big thing to.
So what
to
can we do?
Okay, so what are we
what's
doing?
The action plan.
A lot of
how
people.
do we make a move? How do we make a difference? Because I agree, people should be angry. Hell, I'm angry myself.
Yes.
I mean, they've destroyed a lot of good programming. I used to wake up to listen to that station on Sundays, beginning with the 8 o'clock gospel hour. Then it went to Straight Talk. That was a very powerful show, a 1 hour show. And then right after Straight Talk, you had Sunday Forum from 10 to 12. And so from 8 to 12, and I think sometimes before then, I forgot what came on before the 8 o'clock program.
But gospel, right?
Was it gospel? Okay,
yeah.
but then you had that one sister that came on with the
hip hop,
hip hop gospel. Yeah. So you had
the Temple of Hip Hop.
The temple, right? The Righteous Temple of Hip Hop,
Yes.
right? And so for those 4 hours, that was black radio for me, and I would wake up listening to that. So now you're saying
they turned that upside down. They turned it upside down. They broke it up and everything.
Yes, it's horrible. The fact that some of those shows still exist is good, but the fact that they moved them all around and just messed up the continuity of black radio program. Only one day of the damn week too. We had that kind of only 4 hours out the week. Not even one day, just 4 hours out the week. We had that block. And now it's in jeopardy. They're chipping away at it, almost about to go. So now tell us what it is we can do, so that people, when we read this and hear this news, we know how to respond rather than just feeling some kind of way inside and not responding at all.
Okay, we directly what we're doing. We're holding demonstrations and we have one coming up on this Friday here, September 10th. At 4:30 p.m. in front of there, that's 1210 East Martin Luther King Boulevard.
Okay.
So that's Friday at 4:30 p.m. And we are also in the planning stages of activities where we can bring people to talk and to activate members of the community. So now we've had several of these already, and many people have come out. Many people have come out, and we have gone out into the community. Something the station people have not done, and it's because of what you're saying.
Right.
It's right in the community.
Right in the community.
But now the community has also been gentrified to a large extent.
Right on.
Big time. So we're going into the community and leafleting. Letting the people know what is going on and inviting them to our events, to our march and to our rally.
So how can people get more information? So I know you said, tell them again. 4:30
Friday, September 10th. This Friday here.
Right. And the address?
1210 East Martin Luther King Boulevard.
And is there a way people can contact you, get maybe an email, a phone number?
Yes.
Is there a website?
Yes.
Is there some kind of way people can print the leaflets on their own in case they can, share them, even if not during this Friday's planned demonstration, but, just have them at their ready so when they're out moving about, they can pass out the material. Can you just say something
definitely.
about that?
We have a Facebook page called Save WMNF, and or you go facebook.com Save WMNF, and there we have the flyers and the announcements for the for the rallies.
Excellent.
And we have discussion on what's going on, and there are people who oppose us.
Right.
So there is back and forth discussion.
Good. So Alvaro, I really appreciate you stopping by to.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, inform me and the audience who obviously enjoys listening to independent programming, a little bit of alternativeness and what have you. So appreciate you sharing the information with us and telling us how we can be a part of it. We're gonna get ready to make a move to the little closing that I do. And you're welcome to stay here for that. But I want you to have the last words to say about this program, and you can say to the audience, you can say it to me. But yes, whatever you want to say about community radio, the importance of Latino and African programming and such, and the importance of community participation in that function. So
I want to say thank you to you and to In Touch News for giving me this opportunity to bring this information to to the community, to the public. And our efforts are just underway. They're just underway, and we are, although a couple of good news, if we could say it like that, we were able to get, and I'm not saying we were the only ones, but we were able to get the general manager out, and we did that 2 years ago also.
Nice.
On similar type problems. The problem is that it is those that are the clique that is in control continues to be in control. So they get partial defeats, but they build on the defeat.
Gotcha.
So but for the first time we're united and we're fighting back. So it's a good sign.
Good.
It's a good sign. So please come out and support us. This Friday, September 10th. At 4:30 p.m., 1210 East Martin Luther King Boulevard.
And I appreciate you coming again to share that information. The reality is, when I opened up the show, I talked a bit about how people like to play situation ethics, and even if they don't like to play situation ethics, they still play it. And that situation ethics is the kind of idea where it's all well and good when it affects you. I can stand over here and point at you and say you should and shouldn't do it like this. Look at you, and kind of voice my opinion in some kind of way that didn't necessarily help your situation, and perhaps in many cases hurts the situation. But then when that similar kind of thing happens in my world, I want everybody's empathy and sympathy and solidarity and unity, etc. And so I say that to say, who knows when the powers that be start attacking internet programming like this in a similar kind of way, trying to throw restrictions on what we can and cannot say, can and cannot do, how we should and should not look. So it's important, in my view, that right here on the Life Malcolm Show, we open up this platform, this opportunity to you to tell us how we can be involved to make sure that we keep free speech radio, community radio programming alive and viable and in the hands of the community. But I'm about to jump to this other stuff right quick, man. Just a little bit of something about the law. As you know, I work at a Celia law firm, and if you ask me, we do a really good job for our clients. This last week, we had a client who at first faced 3 felony charges: resisted arrest without violence, charged with drugs and drug paraphernalia, and felon in possession of a firearm. Through some serious work on our part, a lot of pre-trial motions, we filed a motion to suppress, got the drugs. And the stop was a bad stop. We got the judge to agree with that, got the drugs suppressed. So since the arrest was a bad arrest, we got the resisting charge dismissed, because you can't resist arrest if it's an unlawful arrest. So we got that charge dismissed. And so our client went to trial facing 3 years in prison, 3 years minimum mandatory in prison for felon in possession of a firearm. We went to trial and came back with a not guilty verdict. Our client went home chilling with his people, chilling with the chillin'. And so, just wanted to tell you, people ask me, how did we do it? How did we get our client off? The reality is our client trusted us enough to fight for him. So 2 answers to that question: fight and find a law firm you trust to fight for you. You can win. All right, and so that's that. That's the little law part. And a word from the words, not going to happen today, but I do have a little quote for you. Speaking of fighting, and speaking of fighting back in community radio, and in the vein of there being unity and numbers and what have you, I want to share with you this Zambian proverb: the more feathers a chicken has, the bigger it looks. So let's get together, let's look big, fight big, and we'll see y'all Friday at the demonstration. And if we don't see you there, we'll see you next week right here on the Life Malcolm Show on In Touch News. Appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you next time.